Okay, I don't know why I'm doing this. Um, Maybe I need to hold myself accountable. Maybe that's why. But I'm about to go into the doctor's office for my annual physical, and I already know some of the information that's going to be talked about, some of the information from my blood work, and it's not good. So the doctor's going to tell me some things I already know. We're going to talk about some things that need to change, and I don't even know why I'm making this video, other than it's a way for me to keep myself accountable to something or someone. I don't know. So let's just say that this may never see the light of day, and if it does, great. It's a start somewhere. But basically, the deal is this: I have to lose a lot of weight. And I have to do it not just for the same reason so many other people have to do it because they're obese. That's part of it. But I have a family history of a medical condition that kills men at a young age in my family, and I've been very lucky so far in my life to avoid that. But I can't ignore it anymore. And so, what I've decided to do is to do something that I had done previously, which is to eat a plant based diet. And when I did this back in 2012, it was amazing. Never felt better. The whole bit followed Forks Over Knives. Saw that documentary. Followed that with Rip Esselstyn's Engine 2. Never actually really followed a program, but really just got the idea of if I eat only plants, no dairy, no oil, no meat, that I will be healthier. And that bared itself out. Within 3 months of being on plants and a statin, the highest dose possible, my cholesterol went from 419 down to 104 in 3 months. So that'll just kind of give you an idea of how powerful that was. All of my numbers went crazy good, which had been crazy bad before. In addition to that, I lost about 40 pounds, and it fell off without any exercise really whatsoever. So I maintained that for about a year and maintained the weight and everything for about that time. And then some things changed in my life, and I needed to, well, I didn't need to, but I decided that for the sake of a lot of things, it was easier to begin eating meat again, but to try to avoid things like red meats, dairy, unrefined sugar, which I had already refined sugar, which I had already pretty much given up. I'm not a soda drinker, diet or regular. Um, Most of my calories were consumed by the food I ate rather than in liquid form, like with lattes or juices and things like that. Um, but for some reason or another, I completely went off that. I still avoided dairy and red meat to a degree, but kind of gave in a lot of areas too. So now I'm at the point where I'm just a few days past my birthday, and I know that the only path to long term health is to eat a plant based diet. So my goal here is to create a vlog of some sort. I don't know if it will be weekly or daily at this point, where I document the change that happens. So that way there I have a record and a better memory of how my body changed while following a plant-based diet, and hopefully to motivate me and keep me on this way of eating for a long time, perhaps the rest of my life, which would be great. The hard part isn't the food. I never, when I ate a plant based diet before, I never ate something and called it a cheat. If I wanted ice cream, real dairy ice cream, I ate it, but I ate such a small amount. and it was rare. Usually it would be just a taste of my wife's or my kids or something like that, just to kind of get a sense of, yeah, that tastes good, and then that was it. And then after a while, it became I didn't even really have any desire to taste it at all. I knew what ice cream tasted like, and there are now so many options that are non-dairy out there that give you the sense of still eating ice cream. That they're not perfect, but they are certainly better than a dairy-based ice cream. So there are those things. When it came to eating pizza, for example, that was another thing that I really kind of said, okay, well, I can eat pizza. I'll just eat fewer slices. And so you get to these rationalizations of what you're going to eat and what you can't eat. Um, so if I decided that I was going to eat pizza, I would eat a slice of pizza. Now, usually I tried to make my own pizza at home with nothing but veggies on the top, and it was really delicious. And I miss doing that as well. Uh, but there are times when getting a pie from a restaurant, right, is the easiest thing to do. It takes no time to order it. You so there have been a few times over the past year where I have more or less said to myself, okay, today's the day or this week is the week that I'm going to go back on a diet of plants only. And nothing has really kept me on it. 2 or 3 days here or there, then something shows up at work and it's like, oh, you should participate. Or you go out to dinner with family. Oh, well, we're all getting this. Why aren't you getting that? What's the matter? Don't you like this or that? And so you get a little bit of peer pressure. And not that anyone ever made me feel bad about it when I was eating a plant based diet before, but since I wasn't eating one now, it became one of those things. Well, why not? And it's a long story to explain why not. So now today, having a doctor's appointment and everyone knows that there's a physical and that the doctor's going to talk to me about some very specific things, that I can then come out of this doctor's appointment with authority and say, this is what we need to do. And I should mention, by the way, that my wife has always been very supportive of it. She is following her own path to health and has been very successful. And more recently, she has been uh, more verbally supportive of it in the past, whereas before she might not have said, you should do it, or I would love it if you would. But now more recently, she's like, I know you miss eating that way. Why don't you go back to it? And it makes such a big difference to hear that from her. So we're going to pause here. I'm going to go into the doctor's and talk about what, my blood tests have to say, talk about what my weight is, and so on and so forth, check my blood pressure. And then when we come out, I will follow up with what he has to say and go from there. Okay, so just finished at the doctor, and it was what I expected. He's very concerned about my cholesterol and my weight, and there are some changes ahead. I need to see a cardiologist, which is not new. I've had to see a cardiologist plenty in the past. I need to have some imaging done of my heart to make sure that there aren't any dangerous blockages. And there may be a new cholesterol lowering therapy that we try after visiting with the cardiologist.